Welcome to our webinar. Today we're going to talk about alternative health modalities with a focus on CBD oil. It's difficult to know not only what might be best for your health, but how to even compare different healing tools and modalities in the alternative world. There is especially a lot of confusion around therapies that involve internal use. I often hear, I don't need superfoods because I use CBD and it's great. Or, the superfood must not have helped me or been good enough because CBD oil helped me even more. So let's take a look at the truth versus fiction, science versus the hype about CBD oils and how CBD differs from superfoods and how it may fit into a healing process for you. So let's take a look at fact versus fiction. When it comes to CBD oil, there is an enormous amount of misinformation and outright incorrect information being touted as both true and in some instances scientifically validated when it's not really so. Many people confuse the benefits of CBD oil with those from superfoods. They believe that if CBD helps them, they don't need to use superfoods or worry about their diet. However, the way that superfoods create benefits is drastically different from how CBD works in your body. Let's look at facts versus myth. So fiction, CBD is an illegal drug with no redeeming value. Sadly, this is the very outdated view of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. CBD as an extraction of cannabis or marijuana is classified by the DEA as equal to heroin and LSD, a Schedule I substance with a high potential for abuse and no currently accepted medical use. That is absolutely untrue. CBD is an extraction that contains no psychoactive elements, so it is not in any way a drug. Numerous studies have shown that CBD is a safe and non-habit forming substance. Semi-fiction, CBD might be a useful prescription medicine. And this is kind of tricky. This actually is the view of drug manufacturers who would like to own the market on CBD's benefits. While the idea of proving medical benefits of CBD is very enticing, the upshot of this determination would be that if it is classified as having benefits like a drug, only synthesized CBD elements, which would be owned by drug companies, would be legal and available to us. The truth, in my opinion, CBD is a natural dietary supplement. This is the view of thousands of CBD growers, manufacturers, and current users, and in my opinion, it's the most accurate way to look at CBD supplements. As a natural dietary supplement, you need to be aware that quality control and purity are of absolute key importance when you choose a brand you want to use. You want to look for third-party testing, verification of purity, because if not, you are at risk of buying an impure or even a contaminated product. I personally live in an area where there are thousands of acres of hemp fields, and I see what happens to these hemp fields. A great many of them use black plastic to increase the heat to the root system. Black plastic, of course, can leach into the soil. That is not something I would like. That obviously wouldn't happen with an organic product. The other issue that's tremendously important is I have seen thousands of acres of CBD get moldy in the rain before they harvest this product. And they do harvest it and they do use it. So you absolutely want verification that your product is free of mold and contaminants. Let's look at the science versus the hype. The first hype is that CBD can cure. Enter your disease. On one single site, I saw claims of CBD helping the symptoms of over 50 different diseases. Now, this site claimed that they were all listed there based on specific CBD scientific studies. The fact is, there are far fewer studies on CBD alone versus CBD with THC. The majority of studies that I could find when I did my research is that most of these studies, not all of them, but a lot of them, are on CBD with THC, which is not the same thing at all and is not legal in many states. There is solid evidence for the use of CBD for seizures, very compelling evidence of its benefits for other neurological issues, for mental issues potentially, pain relief, and inflammation relief. There are several other potential issues that have compelling stories from users that they got a lot of benefit, but there's less solid evidence, including benefits for appetite, gut health, and more. So this is from a site, and on the site, all of these were checked as yeses. And I went through and added question marks to those benefits I could not find solid science for. So I could not find any studies that proved that CBD kills or slows bacterial growth. I couldn't find one that proves it reduces blood sugar levels. I certainly found several studies that it helps reduce inflammation. I couldn't find one that it reduces risk of arterial blockage. I did find many that it reduces seizures and convulsions. That's one of the strongest benefits for sure that has also been proven. Could not find solid science that it inhibits tumor or cancer cell growth, that it treats psoriasis. I certainly found lots of great information on how it can suppress muscle spasms. I didn't find anything about promoting bone growth. I did find some information about it being useful to treat psychosis, anxiety, and pain. Protect nerve system from degeneration. I did not find specific information on that, but I certainly found some evidence that it helps reduce contractions in the small intestine, which, that can be very useful for people who have intestinal and gut issues. So science versus hype. Another thing I saw that's very important to understand is that your body has an entire system of neurotransmitters and immune modulators set up just to respond to cannabis. This means you're supposed to use it. I have seen site after site after site say that. Well, the fact is, yes, in the 90s, scientists were actually trying to figure out how THC affects the body, and they discovered an important body system that's involved in homeostasis. Now, homeostasis is how your body stays healthy and on a normal level. Because they were trying to find out how THC affects the body, they named this system the Endocannabinoid System, or ECS. And they did see that THC affected it. But the key word is endo, meaning it is a receptor system based on chemicals made by your body. The first compound they then identified as endogenous, or something that you make as for your cannabinoid receptor, was actually given the name anandamide after the Sanskrit word for bliss. Anandamide bears no chemical resemblance to either THC or CBD. It's an arachidonic acid derivative. So if you have the right minerals, amino acids, and essential fatty acids, will create anandamide, an innate chemical that works in your endocannabinoid system, your ECS system. However, certainly THC does respond and affect it. But let's take a closer look at what this system is. Endocannabinoids and their receptors are throughout your whole body. They're in the brain, all your organs, your connective tissues, your glands, and your immune cells. In each tissue, the cannabinoid system performs different tasks, but the goal is always the same: the maintenance of a stable internal environment despite fluctuations in your external environment. Endocannabinoids are found at the intersections of your body's various systems, so they allow communication and coordination between different cell types. So they help your body talk to itself, so that your heart can talk to your lungs, that your gut can talk to your circulatory system. That's what your endocannabinoid system is meant to do. At the site of an injury, cannabinoids can be found decreasing the release of activators and sensitizers from the injured tissue. So it stabilizes nerve cell to prevent excessive firing, which can be a disease if your nerves get overexcited because of an injury. They also calm immune cells so that your immune cells function better without releasing too many inflammatory substances. So it's a very important system, your ECS system. It's very important. The whole purpose of your cannabinoid system with injury is to minimize pain and damage caused by that injury. So it's incredibly important if you've been hurt. So your ECS and whether, does this mean we're supposed to use cannabis since THC affects it? It's important to remember we also have opiate receptors throughout our entire body. They don't indicate we should all be using opiates or that we have to use opiates for those pain receptors to function. Our opiate receptors, we will activate them ourselves if we have the right chemicals in our body. Opiates do also happen to affect them. Cannabinoids happen to affect the ECS system. I think this does talk about how plants support our health on a very deep, basic level and can be very important. Another thing I discovered, which I thought was very interesting, is that cannabis does affect your ECS for sure, but only THC actively binds to your receptors. So THC is the more active agent when it comes to your ECS. Now, CBD does definitely affect the ECS, but it does not directly bind to ECS receptors. So how it works with this system is not really completely understood right now. What they do know, if you take a look on the left, you'll see the CB1 receptor. That's your ECS receptor in your body. THC literally fits right in and binds it. So it's going to function in a very similar way to how your body might function. CBD on the same receptor actually stops binding. So for example, THC cannot bind if CBD has already reached that receptor. Now, there seems to be some benefits to having CBD do this, but why or how is not yet really understood or figured out. So what's the really bottom line? There is no doubt CBD offers significant and powerful benefits for many people. We know that CBD indirectly supports our ECS. How it may work in other ways is not yet well understood, and it's certainly not proven, but there's lots of epidemiological evidence that shows us it definitely has many potential benefits. And epidemiological means there's lots of stories. Now, modern science likes to dismiss this aspect of evidence. Epidemiological evidence is not well respected in the medical community. I have quite a bit of respect for epidemiological evidence if it has gone on for some years in a large population of people, and we see repeatedly some of the same benefits occurring. I think it's a very beneficial way to add information into the science behind what we use. So the real question becomes, we know that CBD helps us. And since we realize the ECS is an essential system to helping us maintain homeostasis, why do some people not create enough of these really important biochemicals and need CBD oil to activate it, or THC? And most often, for most people, the reason is they have a lack of micronutrients. The reason micronutrients are so important is best illustrated by the ECS, an essential body system that cannabis affects. Millions of people don't use cannabis, and your body doesn't need it in order for the system to function. But what they need and you need in order for any of your body systems to function effectively are the 50 plus micronutrients your body is utterly dependent on for good health. And I like to talk about using superfoods for that. A superfood is going to be rich in multiple types of micronutrients, but not a lot of calories. These essential micronutrients will include minerals, vitamins, essential fatty acids, other phytochemicals, other cofactors, a lot of which hasn't even really been discovered, but they all work together. With them, with micronutrients, your body is able to effectively create the endocannabinoid transmitters that are essential for your ECS system. Micronutrients are also essential for the function of your immune system, your neurological system, your circulatory system. Your entire health is dependent on micronutrients. So the final word for the presentation today is that CBD may offer a host of important benefits, and each person needs to decide whether or not they would like to add it to their health practices. But everyone needs the nutrients that superfoods offer. What superfoods you choose microalgae, fungi, other adaptogens. That's your choice. What is not a choice is that if you want the best health and the most vitality, you need what superfoods provide. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.